Hello and welcome back, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Justina. Welcome to my channel. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back and thank you for joining me today. So here today I'm going to talk about the full moon in Gemini happening on the 27th of November at 4 degrees of Gemini. So here, if you have any placements at around 3, 4, 5, 6 degrees of Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, or Virgo, then you will be under a greater influence of this full moon. If your birthday is on the 27th, then this coming year will be really significant because you will be dealing with some closures, endings as you move into the next phase of your life. All right, so a full moon occurs when the sun and the moon are in opposition. The full moon, the moon is fully illuminated, so there is this heightened awareness and increased emotions, and perhaps it could be difficult to sleep because our minds will be very, very stimulated at this time. Here, Mercury is a sign connected to communication, information, exchange of information. So here, this will be very significant during this full moon. Right, so here, Gemini is an earth sign. A mutable sign, a mutable lunation indicates changeable times. Here, this full moon is connected to the new moon we had back in 2022 on the 30th of May. And during this full moon in Gemini here on the 27th of November, you could be dealing with a situation that has already started during that new moon in Gemini. Here, I like to follow the gestation lunar cycle that lasts 2 years and 7 months, or every 9 months following a new moon. There is a story that further develops following the initial new beginnings that started around the new moon. So here, all right, so here Gemini is the third sign of the zodiac, and it gets its symbolism from the two brightest stars in its constellation, and these are Castor and Pollux, which mark the heads of the mythological twins. Now, Gemini is the sign of duality. It reminds us that all conflicting and incompatible, clashing energies, forces, details must be taken into account and settled, reconciled as mutually interdependent. The energy of this full moon is changeable here, and also inconsistent, encouraging us to slow down and be ourselves, especially when it comes to interactions with others. Be yourself, be your true self. Here, take your time to listen and learn without rushing impatiently. Now, it is a great time to let go of negative energies, habits, routines, whatever it is that disturbs your routine. Here, Gemini likes versatility, so anything overly mundane and daunting, it's a great time for moving away from this sort of themes or energies. And here you can find something enlightening and fresh and young. Here, Gemini is connected to very youthful energy. All right, so at this time, we've got the moon in Gemini, in the versatile Gemini, which also could make us feel like we are in two minds. We have to decide between two different scenarios, two different paths. However, hold on, do not rush, because we've got a lot of squares and opposition at this point. Also lovely energies here. Thankfully, it's a light and flexible, versatile full moon, so it's not that complexity is not as enhanced as if it was a Scorpio full moon. Right, so here we've got the sun in Sagittarius, so adventures and fun-loving, philosophical Sagittarius, and so we've got the moon in Gemini. So here, multiple energies are here indicated, so flexible, adaptable approach is essential at this time. Now, something that really stands out is, of course, the full moon and Mars opposition. So this could be, on the one hand, it will help us to have a more of an objective perspective on a certain issue in our life. But at the same time, when challenged or when opposed by other people, other influences, external energies, we will have this strong need for defending ourselves in some way. So here the emotions will be triggered, and they will be very much intensified by this opposition from Mars, and this could also result in people striking and standing up for their rights. So there could be lots of fear and feisty energy happening in the world as well. A lot of anger, but at the same time here it's all about not letting other external influences or the people to overpower us, to dominate us. It's all about standing our ground, seeking resolution, meeting halfway. All right, so we also have this full moon will square Saturn, so this can create some delays. However, it's all about being consistent. I have already felt these energies this week. I had difficulty with sending out information to a certain client because I thought their inbox was full, but there was some kind of error. And it's all about, you know, consistency and just taking a few attempts without giving up. My camera wouldn't connect to Zoom today, and I had to re-record this whole video because I forgot to mention a couple of things in the initial phase. So basically, it's all about having to take maybe a few attempts without giving up, because you will reach your goal, you will reach to the end, but you might have to stretch a little bit, you might have to get out of your comfort zone, do things slightly differently. So it's not straightforward here, I'm afraid, because we've got a few squares and oppositions. However, if you truly want to reach your goal, then you just keep on going. It's all about keep on going without giving up, because here, as I said, flexible, adaptable. So you just adapt. All right, didn't work out, I try again, I do this differently. Now, something to watch out for is Mercury and Neptune square. So here, cloudiness and misunderstandings could be definitely here in the case, but also make sure that you, if something isn't clear, double check and use different kind of sources to source your information. Don't purely rely on one source. The same with headlines, news, information might not be fully exposed, available, clear at this time. So don't believe anything that you see, especially if things are slightly unclear. Double check, find out different sources, do your own research. Something to here watch out for, but also an overactive imagination could be very much the case, because it will interfere with rational thinking. So here, it's not a good full moon for making these major life decisions. Take it easy, think twice, because there is that mental cloudiness. Mercury is already in a pre-shadow period, squaring Neptune. We've got that Saturn square as well, Mars opposition. But here we adapt. We go with a flow as per Gemini here qualities, but it doesn't mean that we can just suddenly turn our life upside down here. So it's all about that consistent approach, but also flexible and adaptable, in a flexible and adaptable manner. All right, so here we go. I think that's what I've got for you today here. Also, Gemini is connected to our hands, arms. If you have any aches, then perhaps take some rest. If, for example, don't overdo it in the gym. If you feel like it's already enough, then it probably is. Listen to your body, listen to any symptoms here, connected to any aches, or perhaps if you feel like you need a rest, take a break, take some rest. Here we go. Let's see what this full moon will mean for you on a deeper and personal level. So here, I'm going to share my screen with you. So this is a horoscope for Aries. Now, Aries, first of all, Mars is very, very active this month in November. So I think it's a very hectic month for you. So here the full moon arrives, and it's in the third house. So here, communication and information, exchange of information, social interactions are very much highlighted at this time. And what this means is that it could be popular. You could be pretty popular in your neighborhood. Perhaps you'll be involved in some community activity, volunteering at a school Christmas fair, for example, or perhaps at some other social event connected to community, your community, volunteering or some charity work. This could be very much the case here. We've got an opposition to Mars. Oppositions are often connected to other people. If there is someone around this time who tries to restrict your ability to feel free and so that spontaneous side of life, or perhaps if someone will oppose your views, your beliefs here, you might feel slightly impatient or perhaps even angry. So if this is the case, don't let the other person, the other party, to overpower you, to dominate you. It's all about perhaps seeking that well-balanced communication, or perhaps it's about moving away if you see that someone is trying to perhaps trigger your nerves. Perhaps quit the conversation or end the conversation as soon as you see this kind of symptoms and move away. It's all about, it's a very changeable energy and flexible. So if something isn't working out, you can just move away and move perhaps and get on, start something different, get on with some other idea project. Here you could be also completing a course of study. If you've been studying, learning some new skills, refreshing, updating skills, then this full moon could mean that you are completing this course of study, completing a written project, or completing your website marketing plan, for example. Something to do with your business could also be now coming to a culmination. Perhaps you're moving to a different phase, a different chapter in this whole business idea model, for example. This is also about traveling. You could be traveling just the weekend that is before this full moon, because this full moon is on a Monday. So here during the weekend prior this full moon, you could see yourself traveling. You might be craving fresh air as well. Fresh air, you feel like you need to breathe freely, then this full moon could really stimulate that need to go to some to visit local woodlands or some places, hilly areas, mountains, the sort of places that could really have this positive effect on you. Here Gemini and Aries connect by a sextile, so even though we've got these clashing energies that perhaps will it's all about kind of patience as well, and not giving up, attempting a couple of times until you get what you want. And here there could be an opportunity that actually comes out through the efforts that you implement around this full moon. So it's all about carrying on without giving up. Now here, as we have this opposition to with Mars, we've got this resolution with Saturn as well, and it's a T-square. So here with this T-square, I think it's all about that consistent approach. And because even if you feel like you clash with another person, or perhaps if there's something or someone kind of creating an obstacle towards you, it's all about moving away, but at the same time remaining true to yourself. As I mentioned earlier, without overly stretching to please, to make other people happy, especially those who don't perhaps negatively contribute into your life, for example. But here, this full moon could also highlight a situation connected to your siblings. Perhaps there is some kind of dilemma that needs to be discussed. But as I said, here with this full moon and Mercury Neptune square, it's perhaps a good time for brainstorming, for coming up with ideas, and but perhaps you will gain a much better clarity of where is it that you stand with your life, perhaps a few days after this full moon is exact. Right, so here let's see what this full moon will mean for Taurus. So here, Taurus, this is your second house. So here, your finances, your money situation, and how the money is spent. So your spending habits are highlighted. We've got a Black Friday here, so perhaps shopping and could be on your mind, and you could be spending money on and things that you need. Perhaps it's a good actually time to think about the festive shopping list as well, but it's all about conscious spending, because also the ruler of the second house is squaring Neptune. So here that mental cloudiness could be very much the case, or perhaps inability to think clearly, and that rational thinking is also affected. So here, keep all your receipts and be mindful of any scammers or any wasteful spending overall. But here your financial situation comes into light. So budgeting, financial planning, you could be completing a major financial plan that you've been a repayment plan at this point. This is also connected to some gifts, resources, possessions. Is a good time for decluttering, getting rid of things as well. Now, you could also find yourself having a tense conversation with your business partner, significant other, regarding money, regarding resources and possessions, how they are shared. If they are not shared equally or in a fair manner, then here this full moon could bring this into light, and you will have to perhaps try to meet halfway, find a resolution. This could be also about having some expenses connected to other people's needs, perhaps family members as well. Now, this full moon is also squaring Saturn, so here it's all about being consistent as well, consistent and without giving up, even if some of your goals and wishes will have to perhaps be delayed slightly. But we've got this changeable, mutable energy, so we just go with the flow and adapt. Your ruler Venus is at a tight conjunction with the South Node, so this can also drain energies sometimes. It's not a good form of having beauty treatments, anything to do with the skin. Venus rules our skin. Neptune can drain the energies, and this is generally usually negative influence, but also what your sugar cravings around this full moon. And watch out for any imbalance, hormonal or sugar imbalance as well, here with that Venus and the South Node conjunction. Right, so we've got Gemini now. Gemini, this is a big one for you. It's happening in your sign, in your first house. I think you'll be thinking about your career, because there could be some delays happening, and you might be in two minds. Am I moving this way? Am I moving that way? It's all about here careful thinking without rushing with any idea, because you might feel stimulated to make a sudden decision, but at the same time your ruler is squaring Neptune, so the rational mind is perhaps triggered by the overactive thinking, and perhaps it might be difficult to make a concrete decision at this time. And even the decision that you make, perhaps you might change your mind after, a couple of weeks. So it's all about kind of taking your time, being true to yourself, seeing pros and cons, because you might be dealing with having to make an important decision regarding your career, regarding your future at this point. But at the same time, it could be also having some important conversations regarding your relationship, your partnership. It's here, don't let the other person dominate you or overpower you, but rather try to meet halfway. If things can be resolved at the time of this full moon, perhaps delay and move this important conversation to another day, because there could be a lot of dynamic energy, and perhaps it could be difficult to find a resolution that could be satisfying to both parties, as this is a T-square as well. The moon, Mars are both squaring Saturn. At the same time, it's a good full moon for releasing so any negative energies, habits, and you could be letting go of some negative dietary habits, negative eating habits overall, but also anything that affects your well-being, anything that stands in the way towards your growth, happiness as well. Perhaps whatever you started in May, on May 30th last year, now could come to fruition. So if it's your business or a project, now you could be seeing some positive outcomes and results. We've got a lovely trine with Pluto as well. So there is some kind of sense of empowerment taking place as well. All right, so let's look at Cancer. And for Cancer, this is your 12th house. So here for Cancer, say you've got Mars, Sun, Mercury in your 6th house. The 6th house deals with hard work and labor. The reason I'm saying that, because here you might feel really drained and exhausted around this full moon, and it's a good full moon for taking a rest. You might be away from home, traveling. It's all about fresh air and healthy places where you can breathe freely and think clearly, at least to a certain degree, because we've got this full moon's dispositor or ruler, if you will, Mercury is squaring Neptune. So here you might struggle with overstimulated or overactive mind, and it might get in the way with your rational mind, rational thinking. So it's not a good full moon for making these life-changing, long-lasting decisions, because they might not last. It's a mutable energy, so you might change your mind. It's a good full moon for going with a flow, adapting, being flexible. And here, if you find yourself in some conflicting situation, or if something at your work doesn't agree with your health, well-being, or perhaps if someone tries to stand in the way towards some goals you're trying to reach, or there could be also a situation perhaps with a coworker, some kind of clash of energies. Here, if you feel like you can't find a resolution, perhaps move away, perhaps move this conversation, this debate to another date, because it might be difficult to find common ground, especially if the other person truly tries to overpower you, or perhaps take a break and take a step back before you commit into any major decisions, major projects. This full moon is prompting you to take a break, recharge your energies. You're externally influenced at this full moon very much. You absorb energies like a sponge. The moon in the 12th house lack clear boundaries. So here the issue of boundaries might also come into light. And at the same time here, it's all about also moving away from some negative habits, routines, anything that affects that daily life, work life, home and work balance, for example. So here, if you feel like you can't sleep at this time because you might experience insomnia, because your mind will be full of thoughts, you will have to find an outlet or an activity that will help you to fulfill your overly stimulated mind. This could be perhaps a movie, a healthy walk, or perhaps meditation as well. So whatever you find soothing. Some people enjoy playing games, PlayStation games, for example, something that can switch off your overstimulated mind, or a nice movie, or a walk, healthy walk. Whatever it is, you might find it soothing around this full moon. But other than that, here you're closing a chapter as well in your life, the 12th house, as well as you move into the first next month, and when the attention will be upon you. Thank you very much. Now, let's see what happens in Leo's chart. All right, so Leo, this is your 11th house. 11th house deals with our hopes, long-term goals, plans, and wishes, but at the same time, it's also about some group involvement as well. So this could be when you will participate in a group event, when you participate in some work function, perhaps a Christmas work event. And here, this is also, yes, there could be an opportunity for this sort of event, and you could be in the limelight because the full moon is here, and the moon is fully illuminated. The ruler of your chart, Mars, is tightly conjunct Mars, so you've got the inner strength to get through or overcome any challenges, any difficulties that come your way. Here, Mars gives you a lot of strength. We also have a square to Saturn, of course, between the full moon and Mars, also conjunction here. We've got this resolution in Saturn. So it's all about following through, staying consistent, staying true to yourself. Now, it's also a good full moon for perhaps seeing some fruits and outcomes of efforts that you implemented last year on the 30th of May, connected to your dreams, connected to your hopes, for example. So there could be a lot of empowering energy as well, but you will have to implement a little bit of effort into this full moon, it looks like, or perhaps this could be about having to look at your expenses and finances as well, and to be more practical and realistic when it comes to your goals. But there's definitely a lot of energy that stimulates that drive and courage with Mars and the Sun here aligning so tightly. All right, so here that's perhaps you'll be also participating in some spiritual events or some healing event as well, since the moon rules your 12th house in the 11th house of groups. It's all about getting involved in this sort of activities that will help you to perhaps deal with some heavy energies that you're trying to release. Now for Virgo, this is your 10th house. So something here in your career area is coming to light, coming to an end. You are in the limelight. And I think it's all about also finding that healthy balance between your career and your home, because with Mars and the Sun in your 4th house and Mercury, it looks like you are needed at home, or there's a lot happening at home, but at the same time, you are your attention turns into your public life, or perhaps you received an opportunity from your work, and now you are in two minds. Should I take it on board, or should I perhaps look for something else? You could be dealing with two different, perhaps minds, and or having to decide between two different scenarios. But here you've got this also clashing energy from Saturn. So perhaps your partner doesn't agree with your decision. Perhaps you need to overcome a certain blockage. Perhaps you feel like you need more skills or more knowledge to move forward with this career-related goal. Or perhaps this is all about some kind of lifestyle changes, routine changes that will need to be implemented into your life in order for you to flourish in your outside world. But you will, because next year Jupiter is coming here. So don't give up on your goals, because Jupiter will come here next year, and it will give a lot of abundant energy, especially to those who are kind of trying to grow in their career. So overall here, your attention turns onto your career life. Here you become popular and you think about your status. Perhaps there are some changes going on in your status. You're getting married, you're separating. For example, there could be changes at your organization taking place. So it's a lot of attention here centered around your career. And here, this could be also connected to making some important decisions, having to make some important decisions concerning your career, your public life as well, because here the energies are centered around this area of life. So clearly there is some attention that is needed, but here you will have to stretch a little bit and go with the flow, which you can. You are a multiple sign, in order to make it happen. So in order to make your dream happen, you will have to perhaps get out of your comfort zone, or implement some changes in your routine, your life, in order to see these amazing outcomes and results moving forward. All right, so let's see what's happening for Libras. Libras, for you, this full moon will be in your 9th house, and here with the 9th house, it's all about looking at life from a slightly different angle. So it's all about these eye-opening experiences, but also this is when you will be seeking perhaps experiences, connections, or perhaps you'll be enjoying conversations that will have meaningful impact upon your life. So here with the 9th house is all about expansion, or the expansion or an expansion of our vision, our mind, our perspective on life as well. You could be traveling here without a doubt. The travel is definitely emphasized during a full moon here, or even a new one when there are major transits or lunations happening in the ninth house. Travel is emphasized here, and this could be to Armenia, Belgium, Italy, Spain, and London, for example. Well, cities connected to that Gemini energy include Louvain, I think. I hope I got it right, in France, Brugge in Belgium, and Nuremberg, Hasford in Germany, Bamberg, Cordova in Spain, and Cesena in Italy. This is also about completion of a major course that you've been studying as well. Perhaps your business is being launched or taking the next stage phase as well. Or perhaps here the travel, whatever that you also experience when it comes to travel, make sure that you prepare early and leave early, because Mercury, the ruler of transportation, but also the ruler of your ninth house, is going to square Neptune, and it will be in a pre-shadow period as it approaches its retrograde phase in December. So here it's all about being prepared and being ready that something might change in the last minute. So you need to incorporate this perhaps flexible and adaptable approach, especially if you're going to be here engaging in some festivals or big events, or perhaps travel. Now, if you're going to be expecting, for example, a parcel from abroad, there could be also perhaps some delays. So definitely check your tracking number. But here it's essential not to perhaps jump too quickly into any new ideas or making any drastic life changes throughout this time, because here we've got the ruler. First of all, your ruler Venus is tightly conjunct the south node, so this could actually drain your energy a little bit. At the same time, it's good to engage in activities that are light and versatile as well, that will have a positive impact upon your life. You could be also connecting with young people, working with young people. There is that youthful energy. So here with the full moon in the ninth house, you're releasing, you're completing a course of study, or perhaps you're launching your business, you're publishing, you're thinking about publishing a book, or perhaps a course of study, or whatever it is connected to the communication that you've been working on. So yes, you could be releasing. This could be also about a peak, a situation reaching its peak connected to perhaps some legal matters, for example, or passport or visa applications as well. So I think that's what I've got for you today. Thank you very much. And let's look at Scorpios. All right, Scorpio. So full moon in Gemini will be in your 8th house, and the 8th house deals with deep and profound matters. It's also the house of Scorpio, so all that depth that may come up, you're probably familiar with it anyway. But here, this is about perhaps, well, this could indicate many different things. On the one hand, perhaps your intimate relationship needs attention, and this could be about having this important conversation with your significant other about money, about finances, resources, possessions. And here, since we've got tense and clashing energies, it's essential to generally just go with the flow without getting overly influenced around this time, or without letting someone dominate you. This could be also about having conversations connected to your children, for example, to your parenting. So there is that serious in there, yeah, perhaps there's a need to implement some changes in how things are managed, and how are things perhaps organized, and how are functioning in your house, in your household, in your relationship. So perhaps this area of life needs your attention, because this is the area of transformation. So perhaps there's a need to transform something in your life, release what isn't working, release what needs to be changed, your approach to perhaps your money spending habits, or perhaps this could be connected, because this is overall a time of some increased expenses that you might be dealing with. Here, as we approach festive season, something might come up. For me, it's also my dental treatment, my braces. I will be dealing with some major fees and expenses around this time, definitely. But overall, this is also around the Cyber Monday, I think. and following Black Friday as well. So what's your spendings? It's all about conscious spending rather than impulse spending, if possible. But overall here, yes, so the transformation, regeneration, moving away from things that are negative, that don't belong in your life anymore. Communication is highlighted. Whatever that you started on that new moon in Gemini on the 30th of May could also come into light. Perhaps this could be connected to some money that you inherited, and perhaps you'll be thinking about investing this money. Perhaps you will be receiving some interesting interests for the money that you've had saved up in your bank. For many Gemini, Scorpio risings could be also a time when you will be doing your personal tax returns. I've done mine already last month, but perhaps for you this could be the case around this full moon. You could be filing it, or perhaps paying the taxes. Here in the UK, it's on at this time of the year. We've got time until the end of January. Here, the 8th house is also connected to the issues of other people's values and how they impact us, how they influence. So there could be also some strong realizations that you might have that will make you think how deeply you are influenced by other people's values. Are you living, are you true to yourself? Or perhaps you are overly externally influenced. So these kind of things could also come up during this full moon. So if you're not true to yourself, perhaps you will want to do something about that. Perhaps you will want to move away from some tendencies, or this is also about anything to do with even changing your accountant, changing your insurance company, for example. So lots of different possibilities here. Could be very much the case here with this full moon. Right, so I think that's what I've got for you today. Now let's see what Sagittarius is up to during this full moon, and that's your 7th house. So here these one-to-one connections are highlighted. The full moon is about releasing something is coming to an end, perhaps in the area of these one-to-ones, whether this is an important connection in your life, a friendship, or perhaps your marriage. Something needs to be either discussed, something needs to perhaps be readjusted, changed. But here your relationships are, partnerships, connections are highlighted. Now you could be also ending a contract with like a dental plan, or perhaps with your landlord, cutting ties with your landlord, for example. Here, since Saturn is now moving in a direct motion, perhaps there's a fresh situation happening at your home. Perhaps, yeah, so there's definitely here contracts are being highlighted. And on the one hand, you could be quitting. On the other hand, perhaps there are some adjustments that need to be implemented as you move forward into the next phase or chapter. Now, this could be also about having some important conversation with someone significant in your life. And perhaps you feel like the other person is trying to overpower you, dominate you. And you could be distancing yourself from them, you could be moving away, or perhaps you will be trying to find a solution, a resolution to this issue, to this problem. Here, this could be connected also to your partner going through changes that will influence or impact your relationship at this time. So here, it's all about these one-to-one connections. A full moon is about releasing. So at the same time, it's a good time for forgiveness, for letting go. Things might not fully be clear at the same time of some people in your life, because Neptune is squaring Mercury, your ruler of the 7th, sorry. So on the one hand here, that overactive mind might really get it in the way, that rational thinking. So here, if you think that you don't fully understand the other person's the other person's, now I forgot the word I wanted to use, intentions, then give it a few days until things are fully clear, because there is that cloudiness and a lack of clarity that could be the case here with other people that you might have. But overall, Mars and the Sun are in the first house, so Sagittarius season is your season. It's very vivid, it's very active. You are in the limelight, and there's things happening. All right, so here we go. Now let's see what we've got for Capricorn. Capricorn, this is your 6th house. Yes, so your health, well-being, illnesses, work, lifestyle is highlighted here. Gemini, you could be in two minds. It's a sign of duality. You might have to perhaps you'll be redefining your daily life routine if there's too much chaos, if you feel like your life is disorganized and you need to, or perhaps there isn't enough like life satisfaction in your daily life, then perhaps this is about here moving away, changing and adapting that flexible approach. And so, yes, you could be implementing or moving away from one habit, implementing something different. Perhaps you want to start cycling, perhaps you want to walk more. So the 6th house deals with work, but also lifestyle changes. So perhaps you will be moving away from one habit and redefining, changing, modifying another one. Now here, since this full moon will be in opposition to Mars, this is when perhaps this something or someone might get in the way. Perhaps you will be dealing with some intense conversation or some challenging situation that will generally could stress you out. But at the same time here, if you can move away, if you can just, if you see that things are getting out of control, perhaps it's better to leave it, to drop it and get back to this issue when the time is better. Because overall here, there is that cloudiness, lack of clarity here regarding your employment, regarding certain projects, for example. It might be even difficult to concentrate and to be very detail-oriented. So if you can take it easy, and if you don't have to rush, then don't rush. Give yourself time and allow yourself to truly understand the case you're working on at your work. And if you go to a doctor, for example, and they give you like a strange diagnosis, perhaps it's time to ask someone else for a second opinion, for example. Or if you're generally not sure about what to do regarding your employment, don't make any drastic changes if you can. Just wait, see the pros and cons, see how the energies evolve following this full moon, because there is that mental cloudiness and lack of clarity, especially since Mercury is in Sagittarius. Because so many planets in Sagittarius now in your 12th house, that overall here the energies are not kind of flowing in the like externally, but there's a lot of internal energy, a lot of energy stuck inside you. So you also need that outlet that allows a release, a healthy release. So a walk, a cycle, exercise, some sports will be very beneficial as well. All right, so here, yes, this could be also about having interviews, but prepare well as well. Prepare well, don't go unprepared, because it might be more difficult to express yourself, express your thoughts, express your identity here with the sun being in a square to the full moon. Right, so Aquarius. Right, so Aquarius, you are getting, well, Pluto is getting closer and closer to your first house cusp, and this is a huge deal. I'm sure many Aquarius rising are feeling this internal need for transformation. You're probably already producing something as you move along. This energy is here of the full moon in your 5th house. So full illumination on your business, on the fun, entertaining side of life. But at the same time, you will have to watch your spendings, watch your budget as well, because there is this clashing energy of Saturn that is in your 2nd house. So here, perhaps you can allow yourself to perhaps proceed with a certain idea at this point. Perhaps you have to delay it for a few weeks or months. This could be also about having to deal with some additional expenses, depending on your circumstances. This could be connected to your children. This could be connected perhaps to your business. It's about, generally, I think it's about being prepared. And if something doesn't work out or doesn't go your way, take a different approach. Don't give up. It doesn't mean that it won't work out. I'm speaking from my own example. I struggled with my website this week, with emails, of my camera. So it's all about, a couple of attempts, allowing yourself to reach your goal, but perhaps in a slightly more flexible way. Now, yeah, so a full moon, this is all about your skills and talents. And perhaps this full moon might also make you question how confident you are in yourself, in your talents. If there is something or someone that is blocking that energy, then here this full moon will also make it more visible, make it more noticeable. So here, if your self-worth, self-esteem is affected here during this full moon, it's a good time for contemplating how you can change it, how you can move away from these self-undoing thoughts and beliefs. At the same time, you might be dealing with some communication project as well, or perhaps dealing with some connections. This could be very much the time here, December, when your interactions with others might increase. There could be opportunities for networking, business networking overall here with Mars, the Sun, and Mercury. So take advantage of these energies, but also here, make sure you go with the flow. Don't be overly fixed with a certain idea, because things might change. And if you're overly resistant to change, then it might be difficult to proceed. So it's all about going with the flow. If something changes, you find a different solution. And it's all about here, your skills, your talents. Your children are also emphasized here. They might need your attention. They might be going through some major phase in their life as well that will require your focus, that will require your time as well. Here, the moon also indicates that perhaps your dating, your love life is highlighted, but you're looking at it from a more practical and sober approach at this time. All right, so I think that's what I've got for you today. Let's look at Pisces. Here for your Pisces, this is your 4th house. And with the 4th house full moon, this could be about renovating your home, implementing necessary changes at your home to feel or find more comfort. Here, Mercury is connected to colors that are like light blue, yellow, light yellow, or pale yellow, or gray, light gray. So perhaps you'll be decorating your home in this sort of colors, color palettes. Now, this is also connected perhaps to reorganizing your bookcase or getting books for your home, for example. And books, or perhaps a radio, or Alexa, or a TV, or this sort of equipment. With a full moon in here, this is also about perhaps dealing with some renovations connected to window replacement or cleaning, or dealing with some kind of fixtures in the upper part of the house. This full moon is also connected to perhaps you wanting to move, relocate in the upcoming future. So this kind of thoughts, whether you are satisfied with the current life situation, whether something needs to change, could be also very much the case. The moon represents that feminine energy, but here we've got the square to Neptune. So you could be slightly unclear about whether you want to stay where you are, where do you want to go, whether you want to, I think it's difficult to ground oneself or connect to the home, or there could be some thoughts where home is, or is this my home? This kind of questions could be brimming and going through your mind with that Mercury and square taking place. But at the same time here with the moon, full moon, it's all about things becoming visible, noticeable more than usual at your home. And if things are slightly disturbed, then you will want to find a way to make bring more clarity, more comfort into your home. But at the same time, it's all about finding a healthy balance between your career and your home, because here Sagittarius season is very busy in your career. And when this full moon arrives, you'll be perhaps craving some energy that brings comfort and is connected to staying at home, because the moon is changeable here. So there's some kind of energy here that needs to energy situation that needs your attention at your home. Things are changing, even if it's something little, it will require your attention. And perhaps there's a stimulation to either change the home related arrangements, or perhaps this could be about having some siblings over, your visitors, family members, having some important family gathering. It's all about finding a healthy balance between your career and your home. So it's not a good format for making concrete, long-lasting decisions, because you will probably change your mind. It's a Gemini energy, which is versatile, and often Gemini likes to move from one thing to another. So it's basically here all about your home, family foundations, heritage at this point, and how this fits into your reality. All right, so here we go. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this video. Happy full moon in Gemini, and until the next time, bye for now.